Good morning, Nelly Moose Tracks. Auntie Susan is here to read you a book. I am waiting until it's not awkwardly early to go check on Stevie and Sydney. And I thought, what a perfect time. I have the book that I've been wanting to read you, and it's just perfect. So I'm going to read you the true story of the Three Little Pigs. I think Amy and I first saw Your Mama and I first saw this book at our cousin Carrie and Christy's house, and Courtney and Tebby. But I think Carrie and Christy had it, and we thought it was so cool. And so then we, I don't know how, somehow in the mix of being a tiny person and wanting something, we got the book. So it's a fun little book. So, the true story of the Three Little Pigs, as told to John Scienska, illustrated by Lane Smith. I try really hard with the names and the pronunciations. Your auntie is just like not on it sometimes though. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. Look at that fucking cheeseburger. Oh my God. How would you even get your mouth around it? But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. Hold on. Sorry, baby girl. Homie had some sneezes that he needed to get out of his system. All right. So, I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. These illustrations. See, he's just baking a little cake. He's doing his thing. He's being very messy in how he's baking his cake, but to be honest, like, you know, I'm not much better, So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? I mean, like, he has a really good point. Like, what in heaven's name? The wind, what if there's a tornado, just even a breeze? Like, and what would you use to hold it together? Like with the brick house, you have, you know, the mortar in between and the whole bridge together. Do you just tie the straw together? Like, what in heaven's? So, of course, the minute I knock on the door, it fell right in. See, this is yes, structural integrity. That seems right. It does not have it. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed. Look at the little mouse, but a big nose. And I sneezed a great sneeze. Look at the power of that sneeze. Like heavens above, it's like a tornado. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like such a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. Now he did some wrong work there. If you find someone dead, you don't just eat them up. Like that's rude. It's gonna look real bad later. Like, you're gonna get in some trouble. I was feeling a little bit better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. Yeah, not much better. Rain, sticks together, like there's gonna be some holes in between. I can feel it. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, Wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. Wait, I mean, like, he does have some hairs on there, so it's a reasonable thing to do. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, which is very good hygiene practices. Like, always cover your mouth, but not with your hand. You'll cover with your elbow, because then if you shake someone's hand, it's gonna be nasty and some germs. But I sneezed a great sneeze. Yeah, that was pretty epic too. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know food will spoil if you leave it out in the open. So that's the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Seconds. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better. He was just hungry. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have had the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little porker answered? Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again. I mean, that is kind of a rude response to just hey. talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear, sweet old granny's birthday cake. I mean, like, here's the thing. You shouldn't, like, if they have it, it doesn't mean that they have to share. It would be nice if they did and polite, but they don't have to. So sometimes you just gotta get over that or start a riot. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." I guess he knew that she needed to stuff for his granny. That's just mean. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. Looks like there's a fire going on in there, kid. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That's the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? I love that book. It is so silly. Ellie Moose Tracks, it is time for me to go check on Stevie and Sydney. Auntie loves you so much. I love when you video chat with me and when I get to see you for little giggles, and when you just pointedly ignore me and Modi because you called us but you want us there while you're doing something else. Makes me laugh. So I love you, and I shall talk to you later.